Here's how to become a meme coin millionaire in 2025. I'm going to give you the exact step-by-step strategies in order to achieve these goals in the simplest way possible. This is our chance to make life-changing gains, so let's dive right into my computer. For example, this token ARC came out less than a week ago and has already hit $160 million. So if you were in very early, even sub 20 million, you were able to make an absolute killing on this token. And these kind of token launches are happening every day with wallets making an absolute killing. Here we can see one of the top traders in the space has made over $4.5 million in the last 30 days alone. In the last 7 days, he's clocking in at $1 million. So on these trades, he's putting in close to 2,000, 1,600 and pulling out insane amounts, 30,000, 20,000, 17,000. And so we're going to go over how he's doing it, but I do have a simpler way of getting there. How the math breaks out is if you start with $1,000, you can of course start with less, which will make this a lot harder. If you start with more, you may be able to get there a lot quicker. So in less than 10 trades with $1,000, I'm just looking to double my investment each time. Now there are people on crypto Twitter doing outlandish numbers, and this kind of gets people to FOMO into the space looking for this 100x. But a much simpler way is if we look into some of these wallets, of course, they make a ton of money, let's say upwards of 2,000%, but that was just on one. Most of the time, their profit is coming between 50% to 150%. So they're looking to just double their money, get in and out, and we can see this from their trading. So 10 trades later, we're able to get to $1 million. Now, if we happen to get lucky and 3x our money, this can go even quicker. It only takes 7 trades. And if we get into any of the 10x's that we might cover later in the video, this will only take 3 trades. So the strategy I'm going to be talking about here is to find the runner of the day. Now, a lot of these top traders, as we can see, trade insane amounts of tokens, almost 8,000 tokens in the last 30 days. Guys averaging probably 500 to 600 per day. This isn't what I'm interested in. I am not at that point, and I am not looking to gain money from that type of trading. Instead, I want to find the 2 or 3 runners that are going from 0 to 5 to 10 million in a day, where I can sizably double my money. Now, some of the filters I have to identifying these runners of the day: I like having at least 30,000 in liquidity. I like finding market caps between 120,000. If it drops much below that, it is much more of a risk. And I also looking for anything upwards of 100 million. We've seen billion-dollar market caps happen. So wherever the volume is, this is where I'm following. I want to find tokens in the last 24 hours that have done this with about 1,500 transactions. Now, I do alter this from time to time, but this is where I like to start my research and finding the tokens with the most volume. I'm going to filter by volume at the top, and we're going to start diving in on some of these tokens. Now, psychologically, there are a few numbers we have to look out for. The $3 million mark is definitely where we see chop. $5 million and $10 million on these tokens during the day. Now I'm going to get into how I use the Fibonacci retracement, because this is how I feel comfortable in getting into some of these tokens. After the first pump, I usually wait to let the initial pump fund buyers take their profit. It usually dips quite heavily after this pump. We saw it go all the way to approximately 1 million in less than, looks like, 20 minutes. It then dropped over 80% before being bought back up. Now, this is a tough line, a tough retracement line, the 78.6%, because anywhere below that, I don't see too many charts coming back from, but it did hold these lines. This would have been a great entry to get in on at approximately 290, let's say 300,000, before it made another all-time high all the way up to 4 million. Now, of course, this might be another fake out here, because we could have played this next pump the exact same way. With the Fibonacci retracement, we see that pump from the start to the finish, comes down around the 61.8 line, which is a great place to purchase. After it holds this floor, it then ran all the way up 300% again. So you could have been able to 3x your money twice in one chart in less than 2 hours. Now ARK was a massive token. As we can see, it's still pumping. It's almost at 160 million, back up to all-time highs. But it followed a very, very similar type of retracement pattern. These are what I'm looking for. This is why I'm trying to identify the runners of the day. We had a crazy initial pump. Obviously, top blasting I don't recommend, but it did continue to pump all the way up to 55 million, all in the same day. Retracing from the start to the top, we put out our lines here. It didn't drop below the 50% mark. We could have possibly averaged in this circle line before it then pumped again. And of course, if you still had a moon bag, this would be the perfect time to enter. But if you were to purchase after this pump up to the top here, we have another 400% you could have made. Using this retracement pattern, I put the fib on this next pump. These are my current lines. Did just about touch the 61.8, which is where we could have purchased. And we'll see if it breaks all-time high, heads up here, and follows the exact same strategy over and over again. So we identified a runner of today. There would have been 2 chances for us to 3x our money, get in and out. Let's see who has done quite well. We can go into the top traders of each of these tokens and see how much they purchased and how much they made. If you don't see a purchase, it's usually from pump fund, so they were in quite early. But there are some people that have already made 20, 30,000 off a token that ran to 5 million. So something we look forward to doing as well. I'm looking for something cheap. I'm looking for a small transaction of about $650, cashing out of 22K. We're going to filter that by the transactions, and they bought and sold all in one there. So definitely left some money on the table, and the top trader played this quite well. It looks like they bought the initial pump, they bought the dip, and sold at the perfect time. We can then take that wallet, grab it from our Soul Scan. It is free with limited tools, but you're able to pop in a wallet. Looks like there is a whale here with a decent amount of soul, and check the token P&L. This guy has lost $80,000, so it's not something I am looking to follow. He did quite well. Looks like 37,000 on that, but not looking to follow a wallet that just got lucky. Now, when we do find a wallet we think is in early or traded the chart quite well on the same tokens we're watching, we pop it in here. We can check the 30-day P&L. They've made almost 50 grand in the last 30 days. A low token win rate, but again, that doesn't matter. Reward ratio on some of these tokens. You can also take that wallet and pop it into GMGN. This is a free website. You can do wallet tracking, and this is where I follow a ton of the top traders in the space and try to figure out which tokens they are all getting into at once. So you can see here, I've collected quite a few of the top KOLs on Twitter that are trading. They have pretty outlandish P&Ls, and I have about 50 of them. Now, a step further, I take these wallets and put them inside my Discord, and I get notifications anytime 10 or 20 of them go in on the same token. This gives me a great idea of this might be something to look at. I will then either pull it up on GMGN or on Dex Screener and try to find my entries. Now, we've talked about Dex Screener and wallet tracking to find some of these tokens, but I also use Photon and BullX to do some of my research. Now, these newly created tokens, 99% of them go to zero. These are extremely volatile. There are tons of X's to be made, but even more L's to take. I don't recommend going into this until you are at least decent in this type of trading. In terms of about to graduate, I'm usually waiting for the first initial pump, then pullback, following those retracement lines for my entry. So these are quite early, not the market cap I'm looking for, but I do have some filters to try to identify early pumps with a lot of volume. I'm not looking for anything with dev holding more than 10%. I don't like more than 5 snipers, and I'm looking at 10 minutes old. So this is when they will go from 0 to 100,000 at the bonding curve in less than 10 minutes. So I'll apply that and I'll check out these charts through here. A BullX Neo is basically the same thing as Photon, whichever you prefer. I have links for both down below. This one does give you the chart action before clicking in, so it does save you a couple minutes. But again, I'm looking for a certain type of chart before getting in. On here, it gives us a lot of great information like how many snipers, how many insiders, what the dev holding is, and the top 10 holding. So I could filter those down, but again, I'm looking for chart action volume, and I don't use too many filters inside here other than when I'm on Deck Screener. Now, another cool feature inside BullX is once you upload all of your wallets, it will actually show the buying and purchasing on the chart itself. This gives you a great heads up from the chart instead of going back and forth from GMGN or any of your other wallet trackers. Now, this token just launched. It's early. It's below $1 million market cap, but it is still following some of these retracement patterns. If we look at the very first initial pump, we could see that it came all the way up to 130 and retraced back to 44. If you could have got in here, it would have been a great entry because we then decided to completely explode. Now, we may believe this is the first pump, and so retracing up to these levels, we're looking for it to hold, like we mentioned before, between the 61.8 and the 78.6 here. If it falls completely through, we are not looking to enter, but if it holds these levels before climbing back the other way, it may be a great entry. Most of these tokens are just pump and dumps. The money is made in the pump, getting in early, but these are extremely volatile, and like we just mentioned here, falling completely through, you would have just lost your money. We need to be patient and wait for our entries. Now, you will lose no matter your strategy, but just mitigate your risk and it will reduce your losses. Stick to a strategy and don't get emotional. This is the easiest way to overtrade and lose money. We've been given this massive opportunity to make a ton of money, so let's lock in, follow our strategy, and stick to our plan. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Until next time, take care.